again to my kitchen, and today we're making beef stew, or my mom used to call carne guisada. So I'm gonna do that recipe for us today. I love to make those recipes when it's cold, when it's time to kind of start bundling up. It's a cozy meal, and I'm gonna do beef stew. But my mom used to put the potatoes with the meat, but I'm gonna make mashed potatoes. We just had some with stew, but it was with potatoes. I kind of want to make it different, so I'm gonna make mashed potatoes, and then I'm gonna do my meat in my Instant Pot so we can have dinner in no time. So in here I have maybe about 10 medium potatoes that I peeled and sliced. I have here mushrooms, carrots, and celery. And then I have some meat. It's just for me and my husband. So I have some beef meat stew. And I put garlic salt last night. I put garlic salt, onion powder, and a little bit of cornstarch, and mixed everything. So today we're gonna sear all this so we can get a good color. So some meat, some onion, some parsley, some tomato paste, and some garlic and some vin blanc, and then enough salt. So I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna do this in my Instant Pot, and we're gonna start by searing that meat. And what it is you want to get some color in that meat. If I threw just this meat in here, it would cook the meat, but it wouldn't give that good flavor. And when you do sear your meat by getting those brown bits, you get an extra flavor without doing much already out of doing your meat. So I have this in Sautéed. Here my oil is already warm, and I'm gonna start searing my meat. I mean, this is a small amount, so it might fit in all this, but you do not want to crowd this meat, because you want to get the meat brown enough to create a crust in the bottom of the pan, and also in the meat. So I'm just gonna sear all this meat and start cooking my potatoes, putting my potatoes going. Okay friends, my meat is done. So now I'm gonna take it out. And it looks beautiful, it looks nice and brown. And it created a coat because of that cornstarch. It created a coat at the bottom. I don't remember my mom used to sear the meat, but I always do. I'm gonna put it back again in saute, and now I'm gonna add my onions. And let this kind of grab all those bits in the bottom. So when we were home, all of us kids, and I'm also gonna add my carrots, my celery, and my mushrooms. And I'm gonna saute all this. I remember my mom doing this a lot on Sundays, because it would be something easy that she could prep all this before we went to church. And then when we would get back from church, all she would have to do is do the potatoes and add the finishing touches. So it was an easy meal to make, and it would go a long way for, if you didn't have a lot of meat. My parents always killed at least maybe 1-2 pigs every year. I'm gonna add about 1/4 teaspoon of salt. They would kill about 1 or 2 pigs a year. And then my dad had cows, but I don't remember where my mom used to get the meat for the beef, so she had to go buy it somewhere. But I remember we would have beef stew and a lot of beef meat because my dad had the cows, but the cows were for milk. So, and I make this a lot of, I make this recipe a lot of times for big gatherings, you know, or I have people place orders for like funerals, you know, when somebody died and you want to take something nice. Well, this will be a perfect meal to take with some French bread, and it'll make a beautiful, delicious meal for that family. So what I'm doing is, as I'm sauteing all this, I'm scraping the bottom of the pan because you want to grab all those little bits that are in there. I'm going to add my malagueta. I had forgot to put my malagueta. I'm only putting a teaspoon because this malagueta is a little spicy and my husband don't like spice. So add this. And then I'm also going to add my tomato paste. I think my mom used to put was tomato, puree of tomato. I don't think it was paste, but I always use tomato paste. So let that tomato cook a little bit so it takes some of that bitter from the tomato. And I'm going to add a little bit of, I have here beef broth. But if you don't have beef broth, my mom used to use water. And I'm going to rinse these 2 bowls to get as much as we can. We learn not to waste anything. But my mom used to make, like I said, I remember this was more on Sundays. And I love this meal. And I cook it every winter, maybe twice, a few times I'll cook it. So, and, but my mom, like I said, never made with mashed potatoes. I'm just doing mashed different because we just had some chicken that I made almost kind of the same thing, but it was chicken instead of beef, and I used the potatoes. So I wanted to change it out, use the mashed potatoes. Okay, I'm gonna add the garlic. I always wait to the garlic for last because I don't want to burn the garlic. I mean, when we were growing up, we ate everything. Looking back now, for knowing what the times were, it's amazing what we ate. That today, these kids don't even eat a third or a fourth of what we ate. And it was all good food. I'm gonna add that little, that I rinsed the bowl. And I have here red wine, but if you don't want red wine, you can use white wine, but my mom always used red wine. This was, my dad made wine every year. So like I said, we had everything. There was nothing that I remember that we could say, oh, we didn't have. Which, looking back, I feel very blessed to have all that stuff. So now, I'm just gonna wait for my meat to, for my wine to kind of cook down. I want to cook down a little bit of this wine because with the heat, it will cook down. So this will be here, this will be done maybe in 30 minutes in an Instant Pot. But if you didn't have an Instant Pot, do it on the stove. That's how my mom did it. And then When the meat is cooked, then you can add your potatoes. If that's what you're gonna do, use the potatoes. And you will have a meal in no time. And this tomorrow even tastes better. Here's some fresh thyme. I love to put thyme on my stews. Doesn't matter what kind of stew I make. I always put thyme. It's kind of a little bit of lemony taste, and it's just so nice when it's in stews. So I always have thyme growing in my yard because I used it a lot. I don't remember the spices my mom used to make a lot, because a lot of the name changes, you know, from Portuguese to English. So I don't know if she ever used this. Okay, I'm gonna put that in. Okay, get this away. Okay, now I'm gonna add my meat, all back, and all those juices, and all that in. And now I'm gonna put some of the, probably not the whole container of beef stock. Just enough to cover that meat. And then if I see at the end if I need more, I'll add more. I'd much rather add more than be too watery. And I put a little bit, about maybe another quarter of a teaspoon, because I put the garlic salt in the meat last night, and it's still, you know, it had some salt. So at the end, if I need more, I'll add more. So now I'm gonna cover this, and I'm gonna put this for 30 minutes. And we'll see. So let's find meat and then add 30 minutes. Okay? And then I'll come back. Okay, friends, my meat is all done. And I finished my mashed potatoes also. So I'm gonna taste for some salt, and I'm gonna add the parsley. I'm gonna leave some behind to top it. Top the top. Okay, let me taste for salt to make sure that it's good. Sometimes it has a little bit of the fat on top. If you want to remove it, I put the paper towel and to remove it, or with a spoon, spooned it out. Perfect. Don't need no salt, nothing. And let me show you how am I gonna serve this. I did my mashed potatoes. So I'm gonna put a little bit of the mashed potatoes in my bowl. And then I'm gonna scoop a little bit of this meat and those vegetables over. And then sprinkle some more parsley. And here it is, my beef stew. This with some French bread and some a glass of wine. This is a meal to impress all your guests. It is so good. It's so warm, it's cozy, and it has those nice flavors of all those vegetables. And you give it a try of my mom's recipe for beef stew or carne guisada. So, especially as we go to the cold weather, this is a perfect meal for that Sunday with a family or any time of the week. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. Give me a thumbs up and give it a try to this recipe. And until next time, let's get cooking. Have a good day.